Summary of Discourse 7. Mantra 6 said the infinite is Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna. Desha, it is beyond space, it is all pervasive. It is there even when space is not there. Kala, it is present in the past, present and future. It is there even when time is not there. Vastu, it is in every object without differentiation. It is there even when objects are not there. Mantra 7 said Ishvara, the silence that follows the sound of Om, is not a void but infinite consciousness. Mantra 8 gives more indicators of consciousness. It is Nishkalam, partless. It is not an assembly of parts like the gross body. Nirvikalpam, without modifications. It does not constantly change like the subtle body. Niranjanam, untainted by ignorance and vasanas, it is not the causal body. It is important for us to know that these pointers are not about something else. The Upanishad is referring to us. These are mantras for contemplation. I am not the gross body assembly, I am the witness. I am not the fickle mind, I am beyond the mind. I am not the entity that is limited and bound by my own history. The subtlest obstacle to meditation is the thought that I am not realized. Do not do the sadhana to become Brahman. What is finite can never become infinite. Do sadhana with the knowledge that I am Brahman. I only have to recognize it. Then one realizes Brahman, that is intuitive knowledge. Swami Chinmayananda Ji says, Narayana alone can realize Narayana. What is the state of Brahman? Once knowledge is known, one never falls back into ignorance. All false identifications are destroyed. All finitude and limitations vanish. All bondage and fears disappear. One is ever fulfilled, complete, in a state of bliss. This is the highest state. There is nothing higher. Mantra 9 adds more pointers. Nirvikalpam. Vikalpa also means parts and categories. Each category excludes other categories. Categories are perceptible to the senses. There are no categories in consciousness. It is partless, harmonious, and homogeneous everywhere. It is intangible, imperceptible, immutable. Anantam. The self has no beginning, it has no end. Beginning means an effect has emerged from a cause. End means the effect has merged with the cause. The self is. It is neither effect nor cause. Hetu drishtanta varjitam. Logic and inference are not the valid, authoritative means to know the truth. To see, one uses eyes. To feel, one needs the mind. The intellect thinks using logic and inference. Logic is the faculty of the intellect that connects cause and effect using inference. The self is neither the cause nor the effect. Logic is useful to take us to a certain level of understanding, but it cannot lead to knowledge that is unmediated, direct, and personal. One has to transcend the buddhi. That is why the Guru is needed.
Manoharji, you are muted.
Hari Om Swamiji, pranams. Welcome to all the sadhakas who joined us today. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. The Sampurna Yajamans for today's program and program for all the other days are Sri Chittur Manohar, Srimati Jolly Silvipat, Srimati Nirja Birla, Srimati Radha Kini. The Sampurna Upayajamans are Srimati Chitra Vora, Srimati Kalpana Morparia, Sri Kishore Mallapur, Srimati Kumud Jnanendra Mishra. The Dainik Yajamans for today are Srimati Srijata Basu, Sri Sudhir Kapoor. I'm sorry, I forgot to add two more Upayajamans, Srimati Preeti Saxena and Srimati Sumitra Patel. Hari Om. I would now request Swamiji to begin his discourse.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Bhadram Karne Bhishrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Estuštuvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, salutations to all. So we are seeing the ninth mantra and it says Nirvikalpam Anantam Cha Hetu Drishtanta Varjitam. The truth is beyond the direct perception. And Hetu Drishtanta Varjitam, it is beyond inference also. Aprameyam Anadim Cha, it is endless was said in the first line, it is beginningless, it is said in the next line. It is immeasurable, being infinite. And Yajnatva Muchyate Buthaha, having known that, the wise person gets liberated. Now, vikalpa is thought, no doubt. Here it is used in the sense of perception. So truth is not something that can be seen by the senses. It is not an object, that's what it means. Otherwise, what we see, all is expressions of the divine alone. But here specifically it means that it is not perceptible as an object. What we saw earlier, naiva chintyam, nacha chintyam. So it is not perceptible like an object. It's nothing tangible, finite, which has properties, qualities. Then can we infer it? So this hetu drishtanta is to indicate that. So pratigna, hetu and drishtanta. A statement, the logic behind it is hetu, pratigna is the statement to be proved, hetu is the logical reasoning, and drishtanta is an example. If a statement is proved by logic and example, then that statement has to be considered true. So for example, when we say happiness is not in the world outside, that is a statement. Now, what is the logic? If happiness was in the world outside, then everybody contacting the world or a specific object in the world would have the same experience of happiness. But logically, that is not what we see, and experiential proof also backs this. The same object doesn't give the same experience to all. The same object doesn't give the same experience even to the same person at different times. That means happiness is not there in the world outside. Proved. Now, this hetu drishtanta, pratigna hetu drishtanta also is used for inference. So, what is that inference? The statement, let us say, the mountain has fire. That is a statement, pratigna. What is the logic? The logic being given here is because I see the smoke. If there is smoke, there has to be a fire. Smoke is the effect, cause is the fire. And what is the drishtanta here? You are seeing actually the smoke. So this proves, even if I am not physically seeing the fire, I am inferring that there is a fire. If I went to, let us say, sleep, I woke up. Now I am inferring that it must have rained at night. The statement to be proved is in the night it must have rained. What is the logic? The logic is when I went to sleep, there was no water all around. When I woke up, the roads and everything around outside is wet. And that wet, that whole thing cannot be wet unless there is some water. And I'm seeing that there is water. So I did not perceive the rain, but now I'm inferring that it must have rained at night. So if I cannot see the truth, can I infer? So here it says hetu drishtanta varjitam. It is beyond logic and beyond experiential proof. Why? Because logic, so inference as a means of knowledge also is utilized only based on perception. If I see the smoke, then only I can infer there is fire. If I see the water is there all around on the ground, then I infer it must have rained. So it is based on direct perception. If direct perception only is negated, inference also gets negated. Truth cannot be inferred because inference uses direct perception, and also we cannot use a logic in this. Why? Because logic is the relationship between cause and effect. It is between something earlier in time and later in time. Cause is earlier in time, effect is later in time. So fire is earlier, then comes the smoke. Rain is there, then there is whole ground is wet. That which is timeless cannot be bound within the realms of time. That's why it was said earlier, Anadi and Ananta, beginningless and endless, meaning it is in between also changeless, it is beyond time. Second, logic also is only a construct of the buddhi. That which is beyond the buddhi cannot be experienced merely by logic. Logic can be used to prove the existence of the truth, that yes, there is a truth, and that is what we will see. The mantras ahead will give us that. But beyond that, it is only a intuitive, immediate experience. So neither direct perception is a valid means to know the truth, nor inference is a valid means to know the truth. And why this is important? Because a valid means has to be used for experiencing something. If I want to see something, I need to use the eyes. I cannot use the ears. Ears are not the valid means to see. Ears are valid means to hear. If I want to feel something, valid means is the mind, is a seat of emotions. If I try to understand it logically, it will not work. Which is why so many relationships have a conflict. One person is going through some emotion, the other person is acting out of logic and trying to give some solutions. This person doesn't want solution. This person wants emotional comfort, wants you to just be there, hold the hands, assure them I'm here with you. But this other person thinks this person is suffering, I will give solution, that person will come out of these problems. So there's a mismatch in thinking, in feeling. The means which are being used by both of them are different from each other. So if I have to appreciate or if I have to experience the truth, what is the valid means? That which is infinite cannot be perceived, that which is infinite cannot be inferred. Then what is the valid means to know? And there is no drishtanta like Brahman, because Brahman or infinity is only one. So there is no example that can be given. Logic we saw, it is in time, plus logic is a construct of the buddhi. And drishtanta, hetu and drishtanta is said. Drishtanta cannot be given because there is nothing like Brahman. Which is why in the Bhakti Shastra we see when some of the great rishis, so like Swayambhu Manu and Shatrupa, when they meditated and they wanted Bhagwan as their son, they said that Bhagwan, please, may we have a son like you. Bhagwan said, there is nobody like me. I only will have to be born as your son. So that is the bhakti equivalent. In the jnana part, it is this, that there is nothing like Brahman. So inference will not work, direct perception will not work, comparison will not work. Though one may give some analogies to indicate, but none of them can match. So what is the way to know the truth? The only way to know the truth is Shabda Praman, listening to the words of the scripture and to the words of the Guru. That Shabda Praman also has two categories. One is the Laukika and the second one is the Vaidika. Laukik means what we hear from people. So suppose there is an earthquake somewhere deep in the ocean. Let us say Indian Ocean, somewhere deep, there is one earthquake which has happened. Now that has caused the tsunami. Now I can't directly perceive it. I am not able to infer it because I am not perceiving. Then how do I come to know that earthquake is there? Because I hear from people and I see the effects finally. So when I hear from the news, when I hear from people, somebody calls me, some WhatsApp forward comes, then I understand, oh, there is some earthquake which has happened. That is called Laukik. Vedic is the scriptural revelation. Now, Laukik can be again used for things which are perceptible, which can be inferred. But Vedic cannot. Vedic deals with things which are not only not only that which can be known through perception and inference, but that which is beyond both. So that is why Shabda Praman is the only proof, is the only method that when we hear about the truth from the scripture, the Mahavakyas reveal that, and we listen to that from the mouth of a guru who has established oneself in that truth, and one who knows the scripture, and from that person when we hear, if our mind is ready, intuitive realization will happen that yes, I am that. So that's why this is beyond hetu and beyond drishtanta. Hetu drishtanta varjitam, beyond any medium of senses or emotions or the intellect. And that's why this experience is called aparoksha anubhuti. It is an immediate experience. There is no medium which can be used. And that's why it was said earlier that it has to be understood as the very subject. That which is not available for perception, for inference, for comparison, has to be only the subject, the real I. And that Atma is that Brahman. And so one who listens from a teacher will gain the truth, will experience. So, aprameyam anadim cha yad jnatva. This is the way to know the truth, that it is immeasurable. So anything which is finite can be measured. So height of the body can be measured. The things that we buy, 1 kilo of rice, 1 liter of milk, all that can be measured. To some extent, we can give analogies to say how much I love a person. So one can give analogy, I love you to the moon and back. Some figurative poetic expressions one uses, I love you to the moon and back. So then the person feels, oh, the person loves me so much, so wonderful, nobody loves me like that. So anything finite can be measured. That which is infinite, how to measure? The measurement itself is limiting. So aprameyam, it is immeasurable. Anadim, it is beginningless. And knowing this means what? Knowing this means being one with this. Not just intellectually knowing. When I know this, immediate knowledge, when I have experiential knowledge, experience I have, then muchyate buddhaha, this wise person becomes liberated. So these are pointers again. What is that which is beyond perception? If I negate all that which is perceptible, all that which is inferred, what will remain is only the subject. That subject is anadi, ananta, hetu drishtanta varjitam. So this logic which we use is only for this supporting logic. It is not a proving logic. Now that is the state which one will experience. Now that supreme state, the 10th mantra which comes now, is also quoted by Gaudapadacharya in his Mandukya Upanishad Karika. Very, very powerful mantra. What is that state of truth? When it is said yad jnatva, when that person experiences, one is freed, what is that state of infinity? If you can memorize it, memorize this mantra. Na nirodho na chotpattihi na baddho na cha sadhakaha na mumukshurna vai muktaha ityesha paramarthata. Na nirodha na cha utpattihi. What is that state? That state is the supreme state of infinite reality, changeless, birthless, deathless, immeasurable, what was said earlier. So there is no dissolution in that. Na nirodha. Na cha utpatti. There is no creation also. Acha. No creation, no dissolution. Yes, by itself in that absolute state, no creation, no dissolution, meaning no change. Then, nacha baddho, nacha sadhaka. There is no one bound, there is no spiritual seeker also. Na mumukshur na vai muktaha. There is no intense seeker of liberation and there is no liberated one also. Na mumukshur na vai muktaha. What is that state? Iti esha paramarthata. This is the paramartha satya. This is the absolute truth. Means what? In that absolute truth, there is no duality. There is no creation, there is no dissolution, nothing. Now you decide whether you want this truth or not. Oh, Swamiji, dangerous state this is. No creation, no dissolution, no seeker, no nothing. Then what will happen to me? I will die. That looks like very dangerous state. I don't want this. The mumukshu wants this state. Just imagine the vairagya that the person will have from the world, from the things in the world, the pleasures of the world, the fame and glory of the world. Because the person has understood this is illusory, is not real. Why run behind this? When the state of the truth is infinity, it is not a dull state, dead state. It is a state of pure awareness, consciousness, bliss, absolute bliss it is, paramarthata. Now, why this is said, this is very, that's why you see Upanishad say this path cannot be taken up by the weak people. This path can be taken up only by the strong. Those who think spiritual path is path for escapism, they have not understood what is spirituality. Escapism is not spirituality at all. When we walk the spiritual paths, the dissolution of the identity and identification has to happen. That is the spiritual path. How many are ready for that? How many want to let go of their ego? Every time we want to, even simple things we cannot do. We cannot forgive somebody. Why? Our ego doesn't prevent us to forgive. How will we realize the truth? So, a spiritual seeker is one who is ready to drop all attachments, all identifications, and experience truth as it is. That requires courage. Not holding on to ego and then trying to understand some Vedanta's philosophy and then trying to pose as some great intellectual and all that. That is not what spiritual seeker wants. That's why this is said that this na ayam atma balahinena labhyaha. Upanishad say that. This Atma is not experienced by the weak people, Mundaka Upanishad says. Na ayam Atma balahinena labhyaha. It is experienced by the strong people who are ready to let go of their ego. The dearest thing we hold to ourselves is our ego. That one has to drop. Then what will be that state? Absolute non-duality, where creation itself is gone. When one has learned to withdraw and contemplate steadily on the truth, one transcends the ego, realizes there is no creation, there is no dissolution, there is nothing. Na nirodha, na cha utpattihi. No, Swamiji, how can you say this world does not exist? I am seeing it, it is so real. That's where the problem is, the perceptibility. So what is our criteria to know what is the truth? Let us examine that. How to know this is the truth? Oh, Swamiji, I can see it very clearly, visible or not. And that is why we say, show me God. Because we think God can, whatever I see is real, but that is not true. I see the sunrise happening, that is not real. I see the sunset happening, that is not real. Earth doesn't move. It apparently doesn't move. I can't see it moving, but actually it is moving. Gravity I can't see, but I can infer that, oh, there must be some gravitational force because of which these things are falling down. So I think only everything through perception. My criteria for determining the truth is whatever is directly perceptible is the truth. So if God is not perceptible, God is not truth. And so when people say this about God, That kisne dekha? What is the proof? It is all creation of human mind. These are concepts created by human mind. Vedanta says, Are Buddhu, God is not a concept of human mind. Human mind and human being and all other beings, including the whole creation, is a projection of God's mind. What are you thinking? God is a product of human mind? The entire projection of the creation is appearance of that one reality. From the Paramathika standpoint, there is no creation also. If I see a dream world, it is an appearance of the waker's mind. But from waker's standpoint, there is nothing happening. But while I am inside the dream, it appears very real. So perceptibility is not a criteria to know the truth. It can only make me aware of relative reality. We are not inquiring about relative reality. We are inquiring about absolute reality. What is that absolute reality? That I want to know. Relative reality, perceptible, what proof is required for it? I can directly see. But when it comes to that which is imperceptible, so when people say, who has seen God? Nobody has seen God, so God does not exist. Who has seen heaven and hell? Nobody has seen, so heaven and hell does not exist. Who has seen afterlife? There is nothing called afterlife, so the reincarnation does not exist. That's a very, very immature way of thinking, as though everything we see alone is real. So many things we don't see with our eyes, but does not mean they don't exist. Infrared rays, ultraviolet rays, beyond the spectrum we can't see. Beyond a certain range, some 20,000 hertz or something, our ears can't hear. But the bats can hear the ultrasonic waves. They are not able to see clearly, but through the sound waves they fly. So perceptibility can never be the valid means to know what is the absolute truth. So perceptibility is not the criteria. Then majority, everybody believes that world is there. Everybody's experience is that the world is there. So when we say majority, for a long time majority believed that the earth is flat. But now science has proved earth is not flat. There are enough pictures, one has gone to the space, one sees, and yet the weird thing is there are some people who still believe earth is flat. One doesn't want to open up the eyes to the truth. So majority can believe anything. Majority today also believes I am the body, mind, intellect. Does not mean I am the body, mind, intellect. That's just a tool I have. Majority thinks happiness is in the world outside. Does not mean that happiness is really there. How can majority be the criteria to know what is the truth? In fact, most of the times it is a minority who are the people who know the truth. The saints, the sages, the great masters, even including in science, majority believes the world is real. The quantum physicist says, hey, it is not real, it is all energy. And weird things they will say. The same particle is appearing in this universe at one time, disappears from here, appears in another universe at another time, and then again comes back to this. Weird things it will say. Quantum physics, if you start reading, one will suddenly start getting dizzy. Oh, what is this being said here? Can't understand. But those scientists who are doing the research, who have dedicated their time, effort, energy, for them, that is correct. And they have come to that with proper understanding, clarity. Those will be very few. So just because majority believes something, that is not a criteria. No, Swamiji, it is durable. Durability is the criteria to know the truth. Durability also is not a criteria. Because as long as the dream lasts, it is very real, it is durable. But when the person wakes up, finished, it is gone, disappears. What durability? No, Swamiji, utility. It helps, When I am living in the world, there is food, I am eating that food, so then, that food is real. Because it satisfies my hunger. Now, one important point to understand in this example is when we say that the world is illusory, world does not exist, It includes this BMI also. Our problem is this is real, everything else is illusory or does not exist. That is where the problem is. So if I say that this body is there and I'm eating food, so how can you say food is illusory or food is not existing because I'm eating? Boss, even this body is not existing from higher standpoint. We are not negating only the food, the object. Even this subject we are negating. The utility is only at a relative level. So suppose you went to sleep hungry. Will the dream banquet, 7-course meal, satisfy the hunger of the waker? It will not. The dream food can only satisfy the hunger of the dream character, not of the waker. And because the dream food can satisfy the hunger of the dream waker, dream character, it does not mean that the dream food is real or the dream character is also real. Both are illusory from waker standpoint. The waker wakes up again hungry only. Luckily that happens. Please think. Otherwise, we don't have to work hard. We go to sleep as a beggar, we wake up as a king because in the dream I was a king. That doesn't happen. One wakes up, same state. Same way, as long as one is in this realm of duality, in the relative plane, it appears very real to us, but it is actually not real. And which is why no matter what we achieve in this world, we still feel empty. Why? Because the emptiness is caused by ignorance. I don't know my nature as a waker. No matter how much I achieve in the dream world, I will never feel fulfilled till I wake up. Which is why no matter how much I achieve in this world, power, position, name, fame, love, happiness, whatever I achieve in this world, still one part will remain empty. One part will say, I am finite, I am, a jiva, there is fear of death, I don't know what will happen to my family or property, whatever I have accumulated, this, that, all kinds of worries. Why? Because this is real to me. And my true nature is infinite consciousness. No matter how much I achieve, that achievements in the world being limited, they can't make me experience infinite consciousness. So I will still remain incomplete only, even after achieving everything. Because there are two different states. Waking state is different and this dream state is different. The dream state, food cannot quench the hunger of the waker. Same way, the achievements in this relative plane cannot make me realize I am that infinite consciousness. They're two different planes. I have to only wake up. So neither perceptibility, nor majority, nor durability, nor utility. Things have utility value in this world. But the utility value of the things don't make it real. They are only relatively real. They are not absolutely real. Then what is the criteria to know what is real? You are saying everything dissolves. There is no creation. There is no dissolution. There is no seeker. There is no bondage. There is no liberated one. What is real then? That entity which remains after when all this disappears. That entity is real. That is our true self. So the only criteria to know what is the truth, absolute truth, is uncontradictability. Abadhyatvam satyatvam. What is uncontradicted in 3 periods of time, what remains the same in 3 periods of time, that alone is the truth. Before the dream, the waker was. During the dream also the waker is. After the dream also the waker remains. What was there in all the 3 periods of time without undergoing any change, that is the truth. Absolute truth is that. Trikala abadhita vastu. In 3 periods of time which has not gone through change in past, present, future. That is the truth. What we saw earlier, neither beginning nor end which has. Meaning it was there before beginning also, it is there after the end also, and it is there in between also. That is the infinite truth. So the only criteria to know the truth is that. uncontradictability. What will remain in all three periods of time? In my waking dream, deep sleep, that is the next mantra. In my childhood, in my youth, in my adulthood, in before my birth also, after the death also. What will remain at all times? Unchanging. That is infinite consciousness. That alone is truth, absolute truth. That is why the word is used paramarthata. That is the supreme truth. The state of supreme truth is this, the state of non-duality. In the relative plane, everything keeps changing. As long as one is interested in that, engaged in that, one will go on. When one says enough now, these are toys, bahut ho gaya. What is the true nature of mine? I have played enough in this world, I have scored also, I have done whatever I have to achieve, sab kuch ho gaya. Now what? Now I want to know that state. What is that state? Na nirodha. There is no dissolution in that. So when it is said paramarthata, the absolute state, so we have to understand three levels. Paramarthika satta is called absolute reality, the highest level. Now that is the truth, which is what we have to realize. Now if I'm not ready for that level, then the second level of reality is called the vyavaharik satta, which is what we are right now in. Transactional reality. So we meet people, we talk, we have interactions, there is a world where we work, there is a family, everything, all that is transactional. Now we are thinking this transactional reality is by itself real. Vedanta says, no. This transactional reality is not real. What is absolutely real is paramarthik satta, which is there is no creation, none of this exists. Now between these two, there has to be a bridge, because I can't, from a state of complete duality where everything is real to me in this relative world, suddenly come to that state of everything is not there and there's only one non-dual truth. How will I come to that? From duality to non-duality, one can't jump straight. It's a mighty leap. This is actually called paradigm shift. Is this from finite to infinite, from dual to non-dual? How? So in between is the state called pratibhasik satta, relative reality. Transactional reality, relative reality, absolute reality. These are three levels in Vedanta. This transactional reality is what we are thinking is completely real. We have forgotten absolute reality. Vedanta says, no, there is absolute reality. That alone is real. This is not there. How to realize that alone is there? So in between is that state called pratibhasik satta, relative reality, where I still see the world, I still see the body which is a part of the world, but I know this is illusory, this is not real. Like the seasoned traveler in the desert knows that it is mirage, there is no water there. Though one is seeing there is mirage, but one is not fooled by it. Earlier one did not know it is a mirage. So one thought that is real water there. So one runs towards that. That is what we are doing right now. This world, we think happiness is in this object, that person, this place, becoming this, getting there, doing that. So we are chasing this. When in the desert, when the traveler reaches that point, one realizes, sorry, there's nothing here. Again it appears there somewhere further is the water. Again one runs there. So this, when a person has done repeatedly, one understands, oh, this is just a play of the sunlight on the sand. It is not there. The water is not really here. Then one will stop running. So when one has seen this relative phenomenon clearly, that no matter what I achieve, for some time I feel happy. Again I feel empty. Again I feel if I do this, I become happy more. If I go there, I will become more happy. Now again I'm running. How long will this running continue? Then one says, no, this needs to stop. Then when one comes to inquire into Vedanta, one understands, no, this is only temporary. This is very illusory. This is not real. So if this is not real, the world is not real, including this BMI. If this is not real, this is illusory, then what is real? If the water is not there, then what is there? Oh, sand is there. So it's not a blank. So sand is appearing as water. So this world is appearing to us. What is appearing as the real world now? There has to be some base, some substratum which is appearing as the world. The waker is appearing as the dream world. The sand is appearing as the mirage. The rope is appearing as the snake. So what is that which is appearing as this world now? When one inquires, so two things have happened. One is the chasing behind the world has stopped. Other is inquiry has started. When one continues this inquiry, as per the tradition of Vedanta, one will come to this Paramarthik Satta, where one has intellectually not only understood that world is illusory, has gone to the teacher, understood, started doing the Shravan Manan Nididhyasan, and through the steady contemplation, withdrawn the attention from everything, contemplating on the reality using these pointers, and wakes up. That state is this now, Paramarthik Satta. So this is absolute reality. Please remember that. Don't mix up levels. What we do is we are happy to shift our levels for our convenience. So when we don't want to accept something, then we'll say anyway all this does not exist. How does it matter? When we don't want to explain something properly, or when we don't want to have the complete clarity, and if somebody asks a question to us even in Vedanta, and if we don't know the answer, finally what one will say, anyway how does it matter? Truth alone is real now. Forget everything else. Why are you bothered? None of this exists in that state. So we shift to the absolute level whenever we feel convenient. When the sorrow hits us hard, at that time we don't want to shift to that absolute level. None of this exists. That time this is very real to me. When some great success is achieved, that time I don't want to say all this does not even exist. That time I want to celebrate and throw a big party and call everybody and do whatever. At that time it's all very real to me. So we conveniently shift. Vedanta says no, one has to steadily rise in Vairagya to come from relative plane, so from the transactional level to relative reality, where I actually feel this is illusion, that is illusion. This BMI is also illusion, the world is also illusion. So play the roles, but deep down one knows this is not real. Like the actor knows this is not real at all. And that's how the actor is able to play the role to the best of the capabilities. If someone says that no, how can I play the role to the best of my capacity if I think this is unreal, this is illusory, that means that person has not understood Vedanta. This is a role, this is not real. And because it's a role, play the role. You are something else. Actor is someone else. Actor is playing the role, and that's how the actor is able to shift. Same actor in one day may take up 4 different roles for 4 different films that person is shooting. How is that person able to juggle between 4 roles and take up that role, get into that character, emote well and act well and do the dialogue delivery, everything, and then come out of that scene? Go to the next set. Again, put on the makeup, get the dialogues ready, go act. How is that person able to do? Because one knows clearly, I am not these roles, I am that reality. Same way, when we understand properly that these are roles I am playing, I am not this, then my nature is infinite consciousness. As a sadhak, I start living that my identity is I am a seeker. And as a seeker, I am a mother, I am a father, I am a friend, I am a spouse, I am a sibling, I am an employer, whatever roles I am playing. But deep down, I am a seeker of truth. And what is the truth? Satchidananda is the truth. Everything else is illusory. If I hold on to that identity, then while contemplating on that Satchidananda, even that seeker identity will go. Then one comes to this. Na nirodha. There is no dissolution or there is no creation. Oh, but if there is no creation and dissolution, then why there are so many theories of creation given in the scriptures? That is to explain to us why we are seeing the creation and our mind is disturbed and we think it is real. So some theories are given so that using that we can make the mind quiet. Oh, so first came space, then came fire, then air, then water, then earth, and from the combination of these five, this whole creation is made. The first causal creation, then subtle creation, then the gross creation. Acha, acha, now I understood. But from where did all this come? The Upanishad says it came from Brahman. Brahman, using the power of Maya, became Ishvara, and then that is from that Ishvara, these five elements and this whole creation has come. So the explanation of the creation is not to validate creation, it is to rise beyond creation. And that's why there are countless theories of creation in the Upanishads. There's not just one theory. You see, there's the biggest difference in science and Vedanta. Science tries to think science thinks world is real and wants to find one theory, proper, flawless, loophole, without any loopholes. The theory must be there, which explains the creation properly. Vedanta says this is not real. Something which is not real, you want to give some logical explanation of a snake produced from a rope. How is it ever possible? The snake will never come out of a rope. How can you have a valid theory of snake coming out from rope? It is not real. It is a projection. It is an appearance. Some reasoning one can give because light is less, and the person was walking, and then in the lack of proper light, the eyesight also. So one got little deluded, and one started seeing a snake there. That does not mean snake is real. So some explanation is given about creation, and it will be not illogical. It will be logical. From space comes air, then fire, then water, then earth. You can experience, you can prove using some logic and some experiential proof and all that. But that doesn't mean creation is real. The whole purpose is to direct our attention to that Ishvara, which is Brahman, which is real. So in that absolute state, there is no creation and dissolution. Why? Because infinite literally means that which is changeless. And creation is continuously a realm of change. How can the change come out of the changeless? The changeless absolute truth cannot produce anything, cannot modify, cannot get destroyed. It is changeless. So creation itself is a logical impossibility. For a logical impossibility, how can you have a logically real explanation? It is not possible. Logically foolproof explanation is just not possible. It is. That's what Vedanta tells us so clearly. No, Swamiji, I can't believe. There are so many Mahatmas who have experienced that state. They are the living proof. That's why the living masters are important. Otherwise, this looks like some theoretical state, where there is no creation, no dissolution. That's the state of truth. When they asked Ramana Maharshi, world war is going on, please give a message. What did he say? Which world? World does not exist for the Mahatma. The waker who has woken up will say, which dream world? What? Waking alone is real. What is the dream world? There is no dream. It was illusory. It didn't happen actually. The dream example, there's a limitation. It did happen when one was in dream, it was real. But when one wakes up to this reality, one realizes I was always the truth. There was no change in me. There was never a creation at all. How wonderful is that state? So, na nirodha, na cha utpatti. There is no dissolution. There is no creation. From the standpoint of rope, where is the snake? There is no snake. If you ask from rope standpoint, there is no snake at all. If you ask from waker standpoint, there is no dream world at all. So this is the absolute state. Na nirodha, na cha utpatti, na baddho, na cha sadhakaha. There is no one bound, nor there is a sadhak who wants to be liberated, who has to do sadhana to get liberation. Oh, Swamiji, then no need to do sadhana from today. Very good. This is why I say we use this paramarthika satta to as for our convenience. When we don't want to do sadhana, we say, how does it matter? I'm already Brahman. Why should I even do sadhana? If I am already that infinite consciousness, why should I worship an Ishvara? And that is because I am not experiencing that right now. Intellectually, I have information that I am Brahman, but I still live as a jiva. some loss of job happens, somebody insults me, or some taunt happens, I feel so hurt. That time what happened to I am Brahman consciousness? That time you forget everything. So as long as Jiva Bhav is there, so long Ishvara exists, and I must worship and I must surrender and let go of this ego. So the idea is not to escape from sadhana. The idea is to get clarity that what am I really seeking? I am seeking the state of absolute truth. What is the absolute truth? Where there is no bondage and there is no seeker. How can the infinite ever become bound? How can this knowledge, the truth which is of the nature of knowledge, Jnana Swarup, ever become ignorant? So when people ask that question, Swamiji, if I was always of the nature of consciousness, how did I get bound? That question has the assumption that bondage is real. Bondage is not real. From the higher standpoint, please remember, we are talking about Paramarthik Satta. Otherwise, right now we want to feel, we feel bondage or not is real, because at the relative reality, it appears real to us. Identified with the body. In deep sleep, does one feel bound? Does one feel that one has to liberate oneself? No. Why? Because there is no identification with the BMI, so there is no bondage, no liberation. So this bondage and liberation comes when there is identification with the BMI. Then that infinite identifying with one little thing appears bound, and now it has to get liberated. But in that absolute, no bondage. Can the sun, which is, this 12th mantra will say that the moon is reflected in the bucket of water. Is the moon ever bound by that bucket and water? Think about it. The moon is never bound by that bucket and water. Moon is ever free. What is appearing is only a reflection, is not real. That reflection appears to be within this boundary of that bucket. So the water in that bucket is reflecting the moon. Now the reflection appears to be bound by the diameter, the circumference of the bucket. Where is the moon? Moon is up there. It is not in this water. It is never bound. Even right now, when we feel that I am bound, I need to get liberation, right now, even at this moment, from the Paramarthika Satta standpoint, we are not bound, we are free. While the dream character is feeling the bondage of the dream identification and thinks that this dream world is very real, even at that very moment, the dream character is nothing other than the waker who is lying on the bed. No problem at all. Nothing is happening to that waker. That is our state. Na baddho na cha sadhakaha. Now, na mumukshur na vai muktaha. So if I do sadhana, if I purify the mind, then there is much more intensity to know the truth. That is called a mumukshu, who has a burning desire to know the truth. So sadhak also is not there. So bound is not there, sadhak is not there, mumukshu is not there, and liberated one also is not there. These are 4 stages all of us will go through. From bondage to sadhak, sadhak to intense sadhana, so mumukshu wants only liberation, nothing else one wants. Then to the state of siddha or mukta. Oh Swamiji, at least liberated should be there. Liberated from what? One who was always the truth is never liberated from anything. If we say now the moon is liberated from the bucket, that moon was always liberated. He never got liberated from the bucket. You destroy the bucket, you remove the water, now moon got liberated. Where? Moon was already there, up, never got bound, so never got liberated. So if there is no bondage, then obviously there is no liberation. Oh Swamiji, but this Upanishad you started by, in the Upanishad it started by saying mind is the cause of bondage, mind is the cause of liberation, and now you are saying no bondage, no liberation. What is this? That's where it is. At the relative level, when bondage is real, then what is causing that bondage? Mind. by false identification, attachment that we saw. But at the absolute level, it is not real. That whole bondage and the mind itself is falsified. So what bondage of the mind and freedom of the mind? Nothing. So na baddho na cha sadhakaha, na mumukshur na vai muktaha. There is no mumukshu, there is no mukta also, liberated one also. Then iti esha paramarthata. This is the paramarthata. One famous story is there. Some Mahatmas, they tell this story. That once there was this woodcutter, and the woodcutter goes deep inside this forest, and now he has a function in his family, some wedding of his daughter, let us say, and now he has gone deep inside the wood to chop the trees and collect the wood, because grand feast has to be prepared and this wood is required. So he has gone inside. Now he has lost track of time. He has been chopping, and suddenly realizes, oh God, it has become so late. Now I won't be able to return to my village. Now he has 3 donkeys. He loads whatever wood he has on all these 3 donkeys, and he finds that there is some hut of a sadhu nearby. So he goes there. He seeks shelter there, and the sadhu very kindly says, yes, you can stay here, gives him some fruit, gives him some water, and they do satsang for some time, and they want to sleep. Now this woodcutter, he goes out, and he ties his 2 donkeys, because they have the rope around their neck. So he ties the 2 donkeys. The 3rd donkey didn't have the rope. Now he asked the sadhu that, do you have some rope, can you please help? He said, no, I don't have any rope here now. So he said, this donkey, how I will protect this donkey in the night? The donkey may go away somewhere. Can you please help me do something? So the man, when he was thinking what to do, the sadhu said, would you do one thing? You go to the donkey and you do the action as though you are tying the donkey with that rope. No, but the donkey will go away. This will not work. He said, don't worry. He is a donkey. You do what I am telling you. So he goes, he ties the donkey, does the action of tying the donkey, that he hits the nail, etc., and then does the action of tying the donkey, and now he goes to sleep. He tells the sadhu, I have full faith in you, you are saying, so I am doing it. He goes to sleep. And next morning when he wakes up, what does he find? He's so happy, all the 3 donkeys are there. So he was overjoyed. He says, Sadhu Maharaj, bahut bahut dhanyavad, thank you very much. You saved me. 3 donkeys are there. All of them are safe and fine. Thank you for giving us this refuge. I'm going. And he unties the donkeys and he starts moving. Now these 2 donkeys, they come with him. The 3rd fellow is not coming. Now he goes to the sadhu and he says, Maharaj, this 3rd donkey is just not moving from that place. What to do now? If you have done some jadoo tona, because maybe some power of mantra and all, you have bound that donkey there. Please release him. I need this donkey. I have 3 only. I have my wedding, my family has a wedding and very important. I have to reach all this there. So please help me. He says, Arey Buddhu, I thought only he was donkey. I didn't know that you also are. He said, don't you understand? You did the act of tying that donkey. Now go outside and do the act of untying, because the donkey has to know that it is untied. And this man, he did that. He went out, he untied the donkey, and now the donkey feels I am free. And the donkey starts moving. This story is very simple, but that is what Guru does to us. We imagine we are in bondage, and then we have to be told that you are not this, you are not that, do sadhana, this, that. Then finally, when it is the Guru doing all that, act of untying, then one says, now I am free. One was always free. One never became this jiva. So that's why he says here, na mumukshur na vai baddha. There is no mumukshu, there is no muktaha, there is no baddha, na sadhaka, nothing. Iti esha paramarthata. That is absolute truth. Now, very high state, where there is no duality. How to come to that state now? What are the methods from the relative plane? How to come to understand the existence of the truth and the world which we think is real, to make that, to understand that that is illusory, and to rise above this to the third level, which is absolutely nothing exists in that state of duality. Truth alone remains. How to do? Methods are given now. So this is the methodology of Vedanta, where verse 11 we find the three states, what we call as avasthatraya vivek is done in this. Eka eva atma mantavyo jagrat swapna sushuptishu sthanatraya vyatitasya punarjanmana vidyate. Eka eva atma mantavyaha. Atma is one alone, and that is what has to be known. What is that one? In all the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptishu, in three states of awareness, the Atma is the same in all the three. Sthanatraya vyatitasya. One who has gone beyond the three, waking, dream, deep sleep, in the state of Samadhi, when one has withdrawn, one has gone beyond waking, dream, deep sleep, then punarjanmana vidyate. There is no rebirth for that person. Meaning that person experiences that state indicated in mantra 10. So more about this we will take up in our next class. You know, this mantras 9, from 7 onwards, not even 7, from 6 onwards to this mantra 10, they are very, each one of them is a very subtle verse. So please do read the commentary, reflect upon it. They are beautiful mantras. They will give a lot of clarity, and also they can be used in our sadhana, like we saw the Omkar Upasana one can do. One can use these pointers in one's nididhyasana. So please do that. So for today we will stop here. I will take up the questions after the arati.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you very much for the knowledge and also the very thoughtful story at the end. The Aarti Yajman for today is Srimati Sonali Kapoor. So you will now have the Aarti.
श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की आरती सद्गुरु की चरणों में उनके शांति समाए शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए पाप ताप संताप हरण की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की
Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj ki Jai. Yes, Alpaji.
Hari Om Swamiji, enjoying the talks very much. I wanted to ask about a realized master. Is he obviously has is liberated, so would he be functioning in the Pratibhasika world or in the because he's still like the realized master, like Swami Chinmayananda, he's still transacting in the world, but he's beyond the relative world. And the next question is, if he has transcended the mind intellect, then, and he's not functioning from any desire, what's prompting him to act?
Okay. So, the state of the realized master is the state where they work at two levels simultaneously. In our case also there are two levels, just that we are not aware of the two. For us only one is real. So world is real, this Mr. So-and-so is real. For them, the Paramatik Satta is the absolute reality, so they know nothing is happening. They are in that state. We are seeing them working in the world because we are identified with the body. So we see the body, we see the individual because we are identified with individuality. So from that standpoint, we say that yes, they live in the relative world with the understanding it is all illusory. So Pratibhasik Satta, they see all this as illusory and having only some basic, some utility value, it is not real. So they operate at both these levels simultaneously, where they know that there is only one Brahman. From their standpoint, if you ask, there is only one truth. There is no world at all. But the answer is, if they are working, that is because we are seeing them from our body level and our jiva level. So we see them working. So then the explanation is, yes, they are doing all this, but for them it is illusory, it is not real. Like an actor, they are playing the role. Now, what is fueling this? Two answers are given. One answer is that it is the prarabdha of the body and that jiva, that it is continuing, as well as there are, the samashti vasanas. So that is the second reasoning, that Ishvara is functioning through this individual body to reach out to the masses, to reach out to all the beings. So it's a samashti manifesting through this vyashti. So Gurudev used to say that Bhagavan doesn't have to take an avatar and go through the pain of birth, etc. The Supreme Lord functions through this realized beings because it's readily available, empty structure, fully available. The individuality is gone, so Ishvara only is functioning. The fact is, Ishvara is only functioning through each of us even right now. We are having ego very high. So we think I am separate, Ishvara is separate. Actually, it is Ishvara alone functioning. There is only one totality, there is no individuality. So if we lift ourselves from that level of individuality to totality, we will see everything is appearance of one Ishvara. And from there, further one takes up to the higher level of Brahman, then one sees nothing exists. So it's the individual journey. And the explanation given for realized beings is this, that it is their past karma. So it is like, example given is, if you switch off a fan, the switch is off, electricity is no more passing, but the fan will still go on for some time. Why? Because of past momentum. Same way, past momentum of that realized master, prarabdha, it goes on. Till the body will drop, that prarabdha is there, it will go on. That is one explanation. Or Ishvara is using it, and it is Ishvara Sankalpa manifesting through the Mahatma.
Namaste Swamiji. This is with reference to the verse 10. Now there are lots of scriptural statements which say that creation doesn't exist. You have Kathopanishad which says Neha Nanasti Kinchana. You have Kaivalya which says Na Bhumi Rapo. Then you have Purusha Suktam which says Ajaya Mano Bahudha, whatever. So this is scriptural proof that creation doesn't exist. But beyond the dream experience, is there any other logical proof that is there which will tell you that creation doesn't exist? Because we are all experiencing it.
Now you are asking logical proof for experience. That is not a valid means, na? Logical proof can be only for things which involve logic. So I can give logical proof for some things. So one can say that, okay, why do we say certain, so 1, 2, 3, 4, if you add, it will become a certain number. There one can apply some logic. Or one can say A is equal to B and B is equal to C, so A is equal to C. There you can apply logic. For truth, we cannot apply logic. Logical explanations are given only to indicate, which is what we will see. So many Upanishads have already indicated through logic that why truth exists. So those proofs are there, enough and more proofs are there. Now even this Avasthatraya Sakshi will prove that truth alone exists, which is there in all the three states, which is uncontradicted. And so logically, there is one absolute, and these three states, they come and they go, so they are not real. The thing which remains uncontradicted in all the three states, that is real. So that is logical proof. But experiential proof, if one wants, that only has to happen through sadhana. And the lives of such Mahatmas who have experienced that state of Paramartha, where absolutely world does not exist at all, one has to read those, and if one comes across such a Mahatma, that's why the Guru is required. The need of a Guru is to make us experience this, that the state which the truth is indicated here in the Upanishads, the Guru lives that. That is what will give us the conviction, and then one wants to strive, and that is what will make us realize also when we hear from the Guru. So otherwise there is no other experiential proof that can be given. Logically one can explain, read the lives of great Mahatmas, be in touch with such Mahatmas, and then do sadhana.
Okay, one more thing. The second line of that verse, the na baddho na cha sadhaka. So if there's nobody who is bound, should we be dropping the expectation of moksha? I mean, we are technically all already realized.
That's why I said it depends on what is our identification, no? If I feel I am the jiva, then I have to do sadhana still. And so for me, bondage is real as a jiva, then moksha also is real to that extent. Okay. If I don't feel I am bound at all, then there is anyway no question arising. If one is a jiva mukta, then question doesn't arise, it dissolves.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.
Hari Om Swamiji. See here in this verse, we have seen that there is no creation, there is no dissolution. Then how do we see the concept of the pralaya, which is explained in Bhagavata?
See, that those are all explanations at a relative plane. That just like I said, creation theories are given in Upanishads, even in Purana. Bhagavad Purana also gives creation theory from Brahmaji, how it happened.
Correct.
And then again, Bhagavad will also speak about dissolution, and dissolution, pralaya happens at the end of 4 yugas also, then at the end of Brahmaji's day also,
correct,
and at the end of Brahmaji's lifespan also. So like that, there are different levels of pralaya also. But all that is at relative plane. Okay. At the absolute level, nothing. Okay. Being inside the dream, one can say, okay, dream was created like this, dream dissolves like this, and dream this has happened, that is what is the process. All that one can explain, being inside the dream. But the moment one wakes up and says, what dream, what creation, what dissolution, nothing happened. So that is the paramarthic level. And to help us to go to paramarthic level, only these theories are given.
Okay.
So when they say dissolution happens, what do they indicate? That the whole thing goes back into Paramatma, no?
Correct, yeah.
So what is real? Paramatma is real, creation is not real. That is what they want to indicate. We are stuck in why dissolution happens, how dissolution happens, when dissolution will happen, what will be the state after dissolution, when will I get rebirth after dissolution, will the 4 yugas continue? Now we are lost in that.
correct.
And that knowledge is necessary at a certain level, no doubt.
Mm.
But the deeper purpose of all theories of creation and dissolution is only to indicate that truth which is beyond creation and dissolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om, Swamiji.
Swamiji, there's one more question.
Yeah.
Why are we unable to clearly identify realized masters from others who have not realized or are only pretending? If this was possible, then everyone would strive to realize.
Two reasons. One is we don't know the characteristics of such realized beings because we have not studied our scriptures. One. Two, we ourselves are not walking the path. If a person is walking the path, the person will clearly know here is somebody who is pretending. Because one will walk the path and one is learning from a traditional person or a parampara, the proper knowledge, one will know very clearly this is somebody who is pretending here. One does not know that pretension is only because one has neither studied properly nor one is walking the path. Both have to happen. And which is why this knowledge, when it has been removed from our education in the earlier days, when it was being given right from childhood, a person before entering into the Grahastha life goes to the Gurukul, stays there for 20 years and studies there. So one comes to understand in its holistic nature. What is life, what is realization, what is to be done, what are the 4 ashrams, how to live here, what is the duty, what is my swadharma, all that one studies, understands, and then one is better equipped. So until we do both these, we will continue. And the third reason why that happens is because one really is not going to the people for realization. The person who is spiritual, appearing as spiritual master, is one really going for realization there? Majority is going for fulfillment of desire. Now when I have a desire to be fulfilled, now the opposite person has a chance to exploit. That's why I'm saying, if I'm walking the path, I will know very clearly. If I'm walking the path of egolessness, I'm walking the path of sense mastery, I'm walking the path of mind control, I'm walking the path of equanimity, I will immediately see and I can identify, oh, here is somewhere selfishness. We are trying to realize selflessness. Here is somebody who is interested in self-projection and glory and one's own. This thing has to be. So one will know by associating. Just because somebody is popular does not mean that that person is selfish. Like Gurudev used all different methods to reach this knowledge to the masses. The motive was very clear. He was not wanting his projection. He was wanting Sanatana Dharma to revive. Those who associated with him understood. So a lot of people go not for realization or to make themselves better or to grow spiritually. They go for fulfillment of desires. I get some benefit, my child must become well, or my income should increase, or my promotion should happen. And now they go to that spiritual person for that, saying what can help me. Now that person also is not really wanting to walk the spiritual path, will exploit. So that is the reason why it happens. Okay, there are 2 other questions. Then why the evil then, if there is no individuality? See, we are mixing again the levels here, no? The evil is there if there is no individuality means what? As long as there is a relative plane, there is good and evil both, no? At the Vyavaharik level, good and evil both exist. This is the world of pairs of opposites. So heat, cold, pleasure, pain, success, failure, praise, criticism, good, evil, everything will exist at the relative plane. And the Shastra tells us that if you do evil, this will be the result. If you do good, this will be the result. So if one wants to lift from the relative plane, which I think is very real, to the illusory level, where I understand this as an illusion and live like that, to the paramarthic level, then I have to follow dharma. I have to follow the sadhanas. I have to move away from the evil to the state of good and then go beyond good. So at a paramarthic level, nothing exists. At a relative level, both good and evil will exist. And that is because of the purity of the mind. Like the sun reflecting in the buckets of water, from sun standpoint, there is no reflection, no bucket, no water, nothing. It is only there by itself. But if it is reflecting at this level, then what does one see? In one, the reflection is very bright, in the other, the reflection is very dull. Why? That's the water which is impure. So in some people who are following dharma, they do good actions, the expression of the divinity is much more vivid. Now somebody's mind is impure, now that person is doing wrong things and evil and exploiting and destroying and hurting and harming. That is because of the impurity of the mind. That is what we saw in the beginning. Mind is the cause of bondage, mind is the cause of liberation. So that is at the relative plane. We should mix up, if we mix up these levels, now that is where the confusion starts. Willpower have to be used to initiate actions till one realizes. I think that's a sharing, that's not a question. Yeah, willpower has to be used till a certain extent. After that, one has to use knowledge only. Knowledge alone will help to realize, because the problem is ignorance. I don't know who I am. Willpower can help me to focus and put away all the other distractions, steadily contemplate, purify the mind, steadily contemplate, walk the path. But ultimately it is nididhyasan which gives rise to knowledge, intuitive knowledge, and realization happens. All right, so we will stop here today. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Oh, one more question has come. Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya regarded as divine incarnation, Lord Shiva, Lakshmana, etc. Yet why their philosophies of Advaita, Vishishtadvaita and Dvaita are contradictory and confuse us? See, there is no confusion if one studies properly. Each of them addressed a different level of audience, and each of them indicated a different path, because there are different temperaments of people. So everybody starts with Dvaita only. All of us, even if we are followers of Advaita, as long as we think we are the body, there is a deep body identification. So for us, this is real, world is real, so there has to be Ishvara who is real. And does Vedanta not tell us to walk before coming to Advaita, to the knowledge of the self? It says you serve the world as appearance of the Lord. Bhagavan alone is all this. So Karma Yoga is a preparation in Vedanta or not? Bhakti is a upasana to be done or not? With that mind which is done Karma Yoga upasana, one approaches the Guru. So though the absolute truth is the reality, to come to that level, we have to lift ourselves from the body. So Dvaita as a philosophy, Vishishtadvaita as a philosophy will help a certain level of, in a certain level of evolution. And it can prepare me for Advaita also. So in Dvaita, if I go to the end of Dvaita completely, the philosophy will say, I am a servant of Bhagavan, I am a servant of the servant of Bhagavan. If I live with that absolute utter humility, dissolution of ego will happen. It will lead to Advaita only. It may be expressed in different ways, but the dissolution of ego will happen. One may say that one will eternally be in the abode of Bhagavan. Now, eternally being in the abode of Bhagavan does not mean that that person cannot get and does not get Advaita Sakshatkar. Bhagavan's Kripa, one will get that. And this person has purified oneself, one will experience oneness. All love culminates in experience of oneness with the beloved, no? So how will Dvaita also not culminate in oneness? Though their philosophy may not say that apparently, But the reality is that only, that ultimately one will experience oneness with the Lord. Same way Vishishtadvaita, I am a part, you are the whole. So the qualities of the whole are in the part also. And if one goes to the end of that philosophy, the peak of that philosophy, finally one will again realize oneness with the Supreme. Not everybody is ready to walk the path of Advaita directly, no? So there are people who are at Dvaita level, some are at Vishishtadvaita level, some are ready at Advaita level. So one can follow whichever path as per one's temperament, evolve in that path, realize the truth. Or from Dvaita come to Vishishtadvaita, come to Advaita. One can do cross paths also. So all that happens. Okay, Hari Om.